Okay, so this is the several people are typing podcast, just following the Trump-Biden second debate, and I'm happy everyone here could make it. It's late. Thank you for staying up. I'm super pumped about this election. I think you guys all are too. Why don't we just go around the room and do introductions, and then we'll get started. Dave, why don't you start?
Hi, my name is David Housen. I'm a game director out of New York.
Adam?
My name is Adam Schulteis. I'm a staff member at a local university.
You don't want to specify what university?
Stony Brook University.
There
SUNY
you
Stony
go.
Brook.
There
Stony
you
Brook.
go.
Whose cuckoo clock is that?
That's my cuckoo clock. I'm sorry, guys. It's actually got a physical bellows.
Your
It's
bedtime?
fantastic.
That's
It's
just
11
Colleen.
cuckoos.
That's just Colleen walking behind him, making that sound.
11 cuckoos.
That's how he knows he has to go to bed.
All right, Habers, your turn.
Andrew Habers, software developer.
Okay. Is that it? That's it. All right, Will?
What else? What else?
He lives in Michigan.
Yep, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Will Savakis. I'm a systems engineer in New York.
I am Jim McCarrick. I am a systems engineer as well on Long Island. Okay, great. Let's get started. So
Just gotta gloss over that fact that you are not in the city anymore.
Yeah, I might as
real
well say
quick.
it. I'm not trying to be cool anymore, so I live on Long Island. So yeah, so the debate just finished. I figure we'll go around quick and get everyone's quick summary of what they thought, and then we'll go into some questions. So Dave, high level, what did you think of the debate?
I thought it was the best debate, both from the fact that we actually got to hear some policy and some substance for once, and I think it was both Biden's best performance, and I also think it was Trump's best performance. The fact that the moderators didn't let Trump sort of steamroll on top of Biden helped both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually surprised Trump didn't interrupt more, to be honest. He did, and he started to do it more and more, but it was kind of like he was like this well-behaved child for a little while. And I was like, well, who is this? This is like a new person. Yeah. Adam, you have any thoughts on that?
He does have that in his repertoire. He just doesn't show it often.
I don't have much to add to what Dave said. I mean, he pretty much nailed it. Moderator was solid. Biden's performance seemed, pretty sharp. Trump was calm and sober by his standards. I mean, it all kind of, it was pretty good. It was the best debate certainly this election season, I think.
Andrew, do you think Trump or Biden said anything that's going to affect their base in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be the voice of dissension and say, I think it was their best performances, both of them. But unfortunately, I think that this is only going to help Trump. I was concerned at the end. I feel like, although it's the truth, I don't think that it was. It's going to help Biden. Saying that he wants to basically get rid of the oil industry. I think that is like triggering to a lot of Republicans and right-wing people and even moderates. Like I feel like that came off a little strong. And although that's something that I completely agree with, I don't know how well that's going to be received. I can't help but think that that's going to be received negatively. Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter so much how that's received, right? Like yes, I agree with you in principle that it's probably not the best thing he could have said. And
it's bad optics.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you were coaching him, you would definitely find a better answer for that. You would never answer in like the affirmative of, yes, I want to end the oil industry, right? You would always talk about your transition to clean energy. But given all of the other issues that are going on right now, I just don't think it's that impactful. Like, I don't think anybody would put the status of the oil industry at the top of their deciding factors this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess my concern is that if for whatever reason you thought the entire debate was a wash until the very end, that stood out at me as like, whoa, why are we going there right now? Maybe it's nothing, but that was probably the only point where Biden said something where I was like, we should probably temper this a bit.
I mean, you're calling out maybe things that were a little lefty, but I thought he had some incredible responses, especially early on, especially around. I think police reform was a topic that he just came out really, really strong on, and I think he's finding a good way to thread that needle between a progressive, we need to make things better without spooking the traditional kind of Democrats that kind of want things to be not Trump but don't want to go too fast. I thought he like threaded that pretty well with his remarks, and honestly I feel like every time Biden talks he's more progressive. I don't know if that's just me, or maybe that's just like I'm hoping he is, but I get that feeling that he's definitely shifted more to the left from this election.
Yeah, I mean, of course he's shifted from the left, like to the left, from where he came from. I also think it helps that he's not surrounded by people who are more progressive than he is. So relatively speaking, he is by far the most progressive person on that stage, right? He's not standing next to Bernie Sanders, not standing next to Elizabeth Warren, who, are obviously more progressive. I think he did a really good job, again, kind of reaffirming that he is the political party at this point. I think that's a really effective message.
And the one spot where Trump floundered, I think it's when he kept trying to call him Bernie. And it's
yeah.
AOC
like,
plus
who
3. That's the plan of AOC plus 3.
Well, the this guy doesn't know who he's running against is a good line.
That was really good.
Like obviously a canned line, but still a really good line.
Yeah.
He knew he could have that one in the chamber because there was no way that Trump wasn't going to try and invoke running against somebody else.
And if anything, Trump was predictable. Creating like lines for against Trump. The only problem is that you'll do that, and then he'll just repeat the same thing he just said 50 more times. So you're like, well, I can't keep saying this as a response. I guess we're just going to have to listen to it 49 more times now,
Right. And that's one of the big problems that I have with this, with the debate to begin with, is just that, Biden can go up there and have amazing responses, and then we give equal time and equal credit to Trump, who just like spews bullshit and like just like muddies the water. And sure, like, I think that informed voters are able to see through that, but for some of the voters that are not as informed as some of the people that may be here, like it's hard to hear that and then like not get called out on it. That was tough for me to watch. Pretty much almost everything that Trump said was just like incorrect or a lie, and he would repeat it. And I think that Biden called it out a few times, but there was a lot of times where I was like, just like, I don't know, call that out. That needs to be called out.
But I wonder at this point, like, how much that'll hurt Trump, right? I think like the thing that I thought Biden did well was just like be a normal, boring ass politician, right? And it's just like, it's just such a stark contrast. You're like, I don't know, like, I know I'm biased because I'm liberal as fuck and I live in New Jersey and I work in New York City, but it's just like, God, it just would be so nice to have a normal president again who's like boring.
Blood pressure when Trump's talking,
Yeah.
And then like when Biden's talking, and then when Trump's talking, and you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, just when you hear all this conspiracy theory nonsense, like I wonder who it's helping and who it's hurting.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Adam.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to ask, like, do you think, because what Trump wanted to get out in this debate clearly was Hunter Biden's laptop. Whatever stories coming out in the Wall Street Journal, I actually didn't read about it today, but whatever is coming out in the Wall Street Journal editorial section tomorrow, um, about his dealings in Russia and China. That's obviously what he was trying to get out. I mean, do you think that that helps anybody? Like, does that help him with anybody who's not already part of his base? Does anybody look at it and like, oh yeah, no, Joe Biden's the corrupt one on that stage?
I don't.
I mean, that's the yeah. I mean, that's the unknown, right? I have a hard time understanding the undecideds right now. Like and I'll admit, like I don't really know who those people are. So I can't really.
Supposedly only like 5% of the country is undecided right now.
Yeah.
And I would wager that they are so, like, the only people who could possibly be undecided at this point are so like uninformed, in the sense of they just don't care about politics, that,
Right, like they have
that they're not tuning into a debate for an hour and a half.
Right.
So like, who's the audience?
Yeah, the undecideds will make their vote based on the most compelling ad that they are forced to watch in
Yeah,
the 6 states that matter.
The only thing that, like, I think it could be doing is, you know, kind of what you were trying to do with Hillary Clinton, which is depress turnout among Democrats. But I don't think that there's anything that can make the Democrats less energized right now. So I just don't think that tactic works.
That's a good point.
One thing I did like is how Biden went into the details of the Green New Deal. I feel like that was something that's been lacking pretty much until this debate. Is that, you know, it's been a tool or a weapon that Trump has used multiple times, and he still tried to use it tonight. But I think Biden actually, like, you know, laying it out and being like, well, this is what it is. It's not this $30 trillion thing. Like, I don't even know where he got that number from.
100 trillion.
100 trillion, whatever it was, you know. But clearly, it's hard to debate about against someone where, like, I'm telling you this is my plan, and he's telling you that that's my plan. But what I don't know how to debate that, because that's not my plan. There was a lot of that. I feel like there's a lot of that in this debate where it was like, you know, well, this is what I'm doing, and then Trump would say, no, this is what you're doing, and then it would just be like a back and forth, and it's like, well, how do you argue against that? I mean, that seems asinine. Like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, it's sorry.
No, go ahead, Jim.
The tactic that Trump took, which I thought was ballsy, but it's a Trump move, is to criticize Biden for not doing something during his, like, time at the end of Trump's time. Like, it's this weird, like, he is running like a new challenger while still trying to claim it's the best economy, always then saying, you know, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it? And I just don't know, like, why the moderator didn't say, well, you had 4 years, why didn't you do it? You know what I mean? It was, he does a good job of keeping the focus off of him. To your point, like, if he's asked any serious question and he has no idea what's going on, because I just really don't think he knows much of anything, he does do a good job of immediately taking the focus off, and either some kind of, like, politeness or, like, civility stops the moderator from being like, that wasn't the question, can you please answer the question, you know?
Right.
Because he doesn't know what to do when that happens. And I wish that the moderator had done that, or maybe called out that, you know, the question just wasn't answered. That would have been nice.
My mind kept going to, like, well, what is yeah, sorry, I was just saying, my mind just kept going to, like, well, what has Pence done the past 4 years? What has Pence passed? Like, what does any VP do other than support the president? I mean, granted, you know, Biden and Obama had a very close relationship in terms of presidents and vice presidents. I think it's probably atypical by how close Biden was with Obama, but, like, I don't know. It's a strange tactic to me. I'm sure it resonates with some people, but it's like, well, what do you expect the vice president to actually do? Like, Biden had some responsibilities, but
yeah. Well, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, I mean, Biden had pretty substantive participation in a lot of things during his vice presidency, especially around foreign policy. But I think Trump actually had a pretty effective debate for Trump standards. I think this was by far his best performance in any debate he's had, right? Including the 2016 debates, including all of the primary debates in 2016, where he was on stage with just one other person, right? And
We lost you.
You're muted.
sorry.
Muted.
Yeah, he kind of kept it in check for the most part, right? Like he did answer a lot of the questions. And he went off the rails a little bit, but I think it was actually a pretty good debate on his part. I mean, his answers infuriated me, but like, I don't think anybody would judge that and say, you know, Trump did a terrible job.
No,
I think,
he didn't.
yeah. And he
No,
has,
I think it was the opposite.
yeah, he has such a low bar that anything he was going to do is functionally going to win the debate for him. But I think that's okay. Like all things.
Yeah, we'll
considered.
see. I mean, I think his argument of you've been in office for 30, 40 years, like, why didn't you get it done then, was an effective argument.
Can I call out how demeaning I feel like Trump's tone is? I can't even. It's so hard for me to listen to him talk.
The way he kept
Excuse me.
talking over the
Excuse
monitor.
me.
Well, no, not even that. I'm just talking about like his. I don't know, his inflection, like the way that he would be like, it's like almost like baby talk. He's like, but how do I do it? But Joe, like, what about this? Or ooh. It's like he has like
excuse me.
Right. He has like
into it a
either like
second.
super aggressive or like this like super aggressive but trying to be passive voice. And it rubs me the wrong way so much. And I'm biased, but like it was just hard to listen to him.
It's like he wants to be the jock and also like the kid behind the jock who's like saying all of like the insults right behind the jock. You know, he like wants to be both of these people.
Donnie.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally like he's both characters, right? He
He's
wants
his own
both
hype man.
because he needs all the attention. So he's got to be the main person. But if someone's saying something witty, that can't be anyone else. So he's also, it's like he would just play all the characters, you know?
It's funny because as we were sitting there, Dana kept saying like, why does he keep referring to himself in the third person? I'm like, because he's a narcissist, Dana.
I mean, the thing that the part of his tone that infuriates me is like just the condescension, right? Of like,
Yes.
don't talk
Right.
to Wall Street about me. Like you're gonna talk about Wall Street. Don't talk, or you know, don't ever bring up the word smart with me. Like nobody who thinks that Donald Trump is smart.
I mean, Donald Trump.
I think a lot of his
Jim
Donald
nailed it.
Trump.
Yeah, Donald Trump thinks, but here's the thing: is I actually think like at his core, Donald Trump doesn't like he knows. I
But,
think
okay,
any,
no.
I think
Is
any
he-
hardcore narcissist and any like that is obvious insecurity, and he knows he's not that smart. He knows that he's a failure.
No, it's
And I think I you know, and this is just like this reflex defense mechanism that bullies and you know insecure people put out because they know that they're failures.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Will, a lot of times
it's
bullies
so
don't
clearly-
know that they're failures when they're bullying. They figure this out later. I think he's at the part where he hasn't figured it out.
I feel like it's just so clearly projection on his part, you know, like it's like this is a clear insecurity of his, and he projects it like constantly, like with a lot of stuff. With like finances, he does the same exact thing. I mean, you know, colleges, like he was calling out Joe Biden's college stuff like last debate. Intelligence, that's like a big theme for him. These are all things that he's insecure about, that he just like goes on the attack about, and it's like so obvious every time he does. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, that was actually a missed opportunity. I was thinking that when he says I'm the hardest on Russia, all Joe Biden had to say was, you believed Putin over our own intelligence agencies. Like you said it
Right.
publicly. Like
You were standing right
you
next
were
to
saying
him.
Putin, you said, I believe him. He's a trustworthy guy over
Well,
our
I just
own
had a talk with
intelligence
Putin. He said he didn't do
and
it.
I'm going to take
I
his
don't
word
see
on
why
it.
or what.
Like, yeah, I just don't. I mean, it's one of his biggest. Like, I know, like, there's so many that it's just hard to remember and keep track of. But that was a significant one. That was a big one.
I mean-
And then the other part that I thought was funny, again, he just like everyone's like, oh, like Will did that analogy, like the bear danced, right? It doesn't matter that the bear is a shitty dancer. The bear danced, so we all clap. Like that's Trump right now, right? So, but he literally said, "You don't take responsibility for anything." He's like, "I take responsibility for everything. China, coronavirus is not my fault." He literally like not even he didn't add one sentence between those two. He said, "I take responsibility for everything. Coronavirus is not my fault."
Well, there was this like amusing like equivalency that he tried to do where it's like, it's not my fault. It's not your fault, Joe. Nobody's blaming you. It's like, yeah, nobody's blaming fucking Joe Biden. Like,
Yeah.
this,
Yeah,
was the
it's
president,
like you got
man.
this
Like-
killer with a dead body, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Detective, no one's blaming you. No one's blaming the coroner. No one's blaming me." It's like, no, we're definitely blaming you. He's like, "Look, man, these are just things we can't figure out. I don't know." Like you're right. That's exactly what he's talking.
Lots of people call me and they say, you know what? It's not Joe Biden's fault. Like, you know, some very important people have called me and said, you know, it's not your fault, Mr. President, but it's definitely not Joe Biden's fault either.
Yeah. Or when Biden's like, "We're gonna have a dark winter." I was ready. I wanted him so bad to just run on that. You could see he wanted to be like, "We're gonna have the brightest winter," because he has to just think of like the opposite word. Like, what's the difference of dark? Oh, bright. We're gonna have the brightest winter. Like you could see he was just close, just being like that. And then what? 30 seconds later, he's
Tanning
like,
beds in every home.
yeah,
Everyone's
yeah. And
gonna
then,
be
and then
orange.
like a minute later, he's like,
Under.
people are committing suicide, people are losing their jobs, and you're just like, what happened to the bright winter there? Like you just went like,
Yeah.
you know, I get that like you talk out of both ends, but it was funny to see the constant like wanting to have it both ways constantly 24/7 kind of attitude that he takes.
I am really excited to wake up and listen to the news and not hear anything about Donald Trump ever again. One day it'll happen.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
One day it'll happen.
even if he
Away.
loses, he is going to be in the political sphere for a
Well,
long time.
It's fine. It's fine that I get to hear him like once a week or once a month or whatever. I just don't need to hear about him every fuck day. Every day I have to hear his stupid voice and I hate it.
Donald Trump is definitely gonna like, he's like, hey, so I have this valuable top secret information that I can sell to anybody. It's the only thing I have left. Who wants it?
God.
Can't get in trouble.
Okay, so do you want to go to some fun post-election scenarios? You want to play that game, or do you want to say anything else
Well,
about the debate?
I feel like Adam didn't get his take.
Oh, sorry, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
no,
kinda,
it's all right.
We kind of steamrolled Adam a little bit.
Nah, I didn't have much to add. I mean, oh, actually, I do have a question though, because it seemed like maybe I was misunderstanding something, but when there was the discussion about coronavirus, he kept telling Biden that he was months behind, months behind, months behind. And I don't think it was a reference to swine flu, although that did come up. And I was curious, how was Joe Biden months behind on coronavirus response? Did I misunderstand something?
I think it was a reference to closing the border for travel.
Oh, that he made the call
Yeah.
months later? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But Biden has no.
Except it wasn't his
office,
call
like-
to make.
Right,
Yeah.
right. He gets judged for being
that-
a civilian on the outside with no, not the entire United States intel at his hands.
Right.
And that really
yeah.
weird false equivalency again between coronavirus and swine flu. Like it would have been this many people dead if it was a more deadly disease. Like, well, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah. So what they
Yeah.
did is they
If-
like looked at infection
if
rates
is no
of swine flu probably, and my guess is that's their math. They looked at how many
Yes,
people. Yeah.
Sure, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
No,
illness.
it's not. But honestly, it's the closest thing to a logical argument he makes. So like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I guess that, sure, that's a real low bar. But yeah, I mean, the obvious counter argument there is if it was more deadly, the reaction to it would have been different.
Of course. Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
The only
and because it wasn't, the reaction didn't have to be this severe.
Yeah, but Will, that thing that takes thinking about it one step further than the surface. So
or playing pandemic, because you learn that very quickly. If you kill people too fast, you lose.
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to mention is, did you guys catch Trump threw out a line? Joe said, Anthony said, other people said. I'm pretty sure I wrote that down. I actually have some notes I was taking during the debate.
Ooh, notepad.
And unlike
Go through 'em, Adam.
Unlike Trump's paper, mine actually has writing on it. Look, you could see if it wasn't in space. Yeah,
Oh,
Joe
he
said,
threw out a
Anthony said, other
solid.
people said.
He threw out a solid Perry Mason reference.
Yeah,
a
what
deep
was
cut
that?
right
I
there.
didn't.
Yeah, I
What-
missed that.
Something about yeah. What was that? I didn't.
Investigating something. I forgot what it was about.
Yeah.
investigating.
Oh,
Yeah,
then it's Hunter
it-
Biden. It has to be. Like, what
Yeah,
else? Would it be?
but it was. I was like, wait, Perry Mason. I'm like, what audience? What audience is that going to land with? Like, seniors already hate you because
boomers?
they're dying.
Boomers, clearly.
Fucking Columbo over here. Is-
What was the thing that Biden went to his malarkey? Biden got some
Yep.
malarkey in there.
He did get a malarkey in there. That was good.
Yeah.
I feel like that was just a bet. Like there were people
They were
back
like-
at Biden. No, there were people back at Biden HQ playing the drinking game, and like he knew on the board for like finish your beer was
Yep.
Biden saying malarkey,
Malarkey.
and
Have
like
his
looks
staff just
directly
get
at the
hammered.
camera and is like malarkey.
Everyone,
on
your- what's
on your
in the
notepad?
office, finish your
Adam?
beer.
What's on my notepad?
Yeah,
I've got,
What notes did you take?
I mean, they weren't particularly interesting notes, but I've got a calm intro. I have a quote from Biden that I thought he needed to qualify a little bit more. He said, wear a mask all the time as part of his plan for the pandemic. And I was like, ooh, that does not seem like the thing to say. Somebody's going to seize on that and they're going to be like, Joe Biden literally wants you to wear a mask, going to bed, having sex with your partner all the time, mask.
Wait, you
thought
take your mask off during sex?
not if I'm practicing safe sex.
Jail. You take your mask off in the shower. Jail.
What else do I have?
I
think
feel
the
like
moderator,
that safe sex joke did not get the laugh that it should have gotten. That was
well, that's because you were muted.
Oh shit.
I saw you laughing. I wanted to hear it. I
Oh,
was
well.
disappointed.
Why are you mute? Why are you muted? Well, what you hiding?
I'm hiding the BQE, which is 20 feet that way.
We can't hear it.
Oh, awesome. Then I don't have to mute.
Not
Yeah,
right
we
now.
can hear it.
Yeah. I noted that I think the moderator fact checked Trump live once. There was a comment she
Yeah.
threw out after something. I didn't write down what it was in reference to. I had the Joe said, Anthony said, other people said line. I love that he is still under audit, so he can't release his taxes, as we all do. You know, we've heard that
Yeah.
one before. And then
Well,
afterwards, sorry.
yeah, I just want to like so the really interesting part about that answer was when he started that answer, I really thought like, oh shit, he's actually going to release his taxes now. Like he's going to do it because he started it saying like, you know,
Never.
what, I called my accountant. He
Yeah.
said,
Never.
and I was like, oh, is he actually going to fucking do it? Like,
Nope.
is he so backed into a corner that he knows he has to do this now to like clear his name?
Dude, Trump thinks he's winning.
No, he doesn't.
You don't think so?
No.
He wants to be
There
told
is-
he's winning.
Yeah.
He's not even
there's-
buying his own bullshit.
No.
I don't
there's-
know, man.
yeah.
Like polls weren't that far off in 2016. So and
mean,
Trump was
yeah.
Trump's
guess that-
rhetoric was always that he was going to win. I mean,
Yeah, but he.
But
Dude,
those
we
are
know
different. Those
this.
are different statements, right? Like the
He
polls
didn't
weren't that
expect to
far
win.
off.
He was
Yeah.
lining up a show. He. This was a publicity stunt. He never actually wanted. Like he didn't want to win. He didn't
I
think.
mean
he was,
that's what was being said. And you know, there's been some reporting of what occurred that evening. You know, with just people being shocked in his party that it did happen. Melania crying. You know, whatever we've read. But yeah, I don't know if he's that in touch with reality that he knows that he's not going to win.
he's run
Um,
before. He's used to losing. He does it all the time. This was just the first he'd gotten.
Yeah, I think that everybody knows that this is different now, right? That Biden is over 50% in basically every swing state. It's not the same as 2016 where Clinton was at like 44%. And yeah, he was at 40 but that's a lot of undecideds.
Yeah.
This is a very different election, and there's also a difference between being up 3 points nationally and being up 11 points nationally. Like that's
Right.
Yeah.
the polls would have to be so far off, right? So like even if Trump overperformed and the polls were like 3 points off again, if that, Biden is still up like between 6 and 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, what we have 2 weeks left, and polls in some states have started to converge in terms of, support. I'm not going to say that means that they're going to continue that trend over the past 2 weeks, but I think that this debate probably helped Trump. So we could assume that they're going to continue that trend at least for a few days. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that Trump can't win, right? I want to, like, that's a different statement than he's losing very badly right now.
Right.
And I think he knows he's losing very badly right now.
Are they
Doesn't
doing
mean-
exit polls right now
I don't think so.
for early voters?
Yeah, I don't think so.
They just do that on the day of the election.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, that's a
I don't know.
staffing problem, right? Like,
Well, it's not even a staffing problem, right? It's like how would you know who's voted or not? Like you'll know, like the parties will know, and newspapers will know like the total counts because the states will release those numbers.
Right.
But that's not the same as like knowing which people voted so that you can interview them.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys. There was a ballot measure for New Jersey for legalizing marijuana.
Yeah, and Chris Christie isn't there to veto it this time.
Yep.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys have a favorite Biden nonverbal response to something Trump was saying? I don't know. I enjoy watching Biden's face as he's reacting to things.
I mean, it's pretty much always the same smile.
Oh, no, not see when he was talking about the taxes and Trump started talking about how he's like persecuted by the IRS. Biden
He
did
does
this.
big eyes.
He that time he closed his eyes and kind of just did like a silent look towards God.
Oh yeah,
It's like just a oh my God. It was fantastic.
No, my
Fantastic.
favorite one of those Bidenisms is when he just like he drops his head like he's fucking dead and he just like shakes it really slowly back and forth. Like he's like, if I have to hear this guy talk one more time.
yeah.
It's a very much the country is disappointed in you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why couldn't you be better? Like,
The
why am I
world.
running against this guy?
The world is disappointed in you. Like, what in the world? Why do I need to be on stage with this person?
I did think that Biden had a bunch of really good moments where he had like he voiced his kind of indignance, right? He voiced like how frustrated and how angry he was at the response. And I think that goes a long way. That like the seriousness of the situation merits, a more emotional and a more kind of impactful response.
Yeah, around talking about the children, I think that was
exactly.
That was definitely in Biden's side of the court. Trump, and then Trump's defense was to go into about like Mexicans being
Who built
rapists.
the cages?
Well, who built the cage? Yeah, like what?
Right.
What? No,
Who built the cages?
It's like, who gives a shit who built the cages? Who put the children inside of them?
Yeah, who filled the cages?
yeah,
Yeah,
that was a really,
exactly.
really strong point. And Trump like got frustrated at the end. He actually kind of like laughed it off. I don't know if you caught that. There was like a half chuckle too, which is,
Well, he went the route of like they're in the cleanest facilities, like
Right.
they're taking care, like
Right.
they're in the fucking cleanest jails. Like, are you serious? Is this what that's a good
we have the
thing?
nicest jails with the cleanest water and the best air. Like,
Yeah,
no one
what?
has jails
Where
like us.
it's way better than if it was a filthy jail, I guess. Like, I'm glad that they're not in filthy facilities, but that's like about a million steps removed in goodness from being with their parents.
Yeah, and also everyone in the entire country has seen the photos of those fucking jail cells with those goddamn tinfoil blankets. It's just like, don't tell us they're in a good spot because we all know what it looks like. That's kind of the stuff I wish Biden would do, right? Like he wasn't doing enough off the cuff, like, are you kidding me? Like how can you say stuff like that? Because
You
you're a
can't have
joke and
reaction every
this
time.
is why you're a joke.
Like you
What's
can't,
that?
even though it's everything he's saying is ridiculous, you can't react like that every time. You have to do like an ebb and flow, or else it all feels like a blah, right? Like you
Yeah,
have to
I
not
just
react big, so that when you do react big, our minds will catch it more when on those ones. And so you have to pick the right one and be like, these are the topics that if he hits, I'm gonna show a much bigger reaction to hopefully get
Right.
people to perk up a little bit. Because if you just always react that way, we just tune it out very quickly. Like our brains just very
That's fair.
clear, like, okay, whatever. Like you're just gonna say this to everything.
Yeah, and I think the debate prep that Biden's going through about like what should you respond to, what, because I mean he went through pretty serious debate prep obviously, and he has his talking points, and he did a pretty good job of sticking to those talking points, and especially with somebody like Joe Biden who is prone to gaffes.
That's what I was gonna say.
I want him to be on track more than trying to just be off the cuff and quick-witted.
So he
It's
gets in
not that I
trouble.
don't think, yeah, it's not that I don't think he's smart enough to be quick-witted. I think he's like too smart to filter himself. Like he doesn't have that filter, right? He's just like,
Not a
I thought
strength.
I thought of this thing and I'm just going to say it because it sounds good to me. And it's like, oh wait, maybe that's not the best.
Well, that's the oil company quote. The oil industry quote, I'm sure, was not vetted. Like the way he said
No.
it
Oh yeah, of course.
was like much more him being like, I got this.
Yeah.
Do you like
God
Trump's
damn
reaction
right,
to
I
that?
ordered the code red.
I do it again.
Trump was just like, ooh, ooh, you saying that? Ooh, ooh, you saying that?
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. That's right.
Yeah, Trump definitely got a little excited when he said that.
You get very excited.
A little.
Yeah. Also,
like visibly excited.
yeah. Well, it's also 95 minutes into the debate. I'm pretty sure like the only people watching 95 minutes into that debate have already decided.
Well, at that point in the debate too, we'd already established that Trump was the least racist person in the room,
Twice.
which was
Uh,
a really weird statement.
And
And then he's
possibly
like,
Talking about
racist president. Possibly. The only one that's less racist is
Yeah, like that-
doesn't make
that
any
isn't-
sense.
That isn't a normal statement. Like who? Like I don't understand his followers. Like how could you listen to him like make statements? And it's not the first time we've heard Trump make this bold narcissistic claim. Like how can you listen to him make these claims and be like, oh yeah, that's normal. I say things like that.
Well, the weird part was that he then followed it with, "I can't even see the audience. How do you know you're the least racist person? You don't even know who's in that room with you.
Yeah, no,
I'm calling you on your bullshit, Trump."
Well, I didn't say I was Abraham Lincoln. I said I was. I was like, fucking, Joe Biden should have just been like, nobody, like sarcasm, asshole.
yeah.
yeah,
Sarcasm.
exactly.
I didn't
Exactly.
think
Do you
literally
not
said you were-
get sarcasm?
I look at you and I'm like, oh, there's Abraham Lincoln. Like
You should have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, George Washington. I didn't mean
Yeah,
to insult
yeah.
you."
Guys, what do you think if Trump grew the beard, the Abe Lincoln beard? Do you think you'd look like Abe Lincoln?
Dude, I don't think
I-
anything
Mike,
goes on
come-
his face. That face has got
Honestly-
so many chemicals on it, man. That thing is a barren wasteland.
Honestly, I think it would be a good ad if Trump like put out an ad with a stovepipe hat
Yep.
tomorrow. I think just lean into it. Lean into the Abraham Lincoln.
I
Yeah,
don't know why. After you said that, Trump shaving suddenly seems like a really weird thing.
I don't think he has to shave. I just think like I don't know what he does to his face, but man, like there's just nothing ever there ever. Like how do you shave that face? It's
Well,
like
they-
shaving like a ball of dough. Like
They took all the beard hair and tried to transplant it into his head.
I want all of it. All of it.
I mean, there's laser surgery to kill hair follicles. That's not that invasive.
Do you think Trump
Sure.
does anything that might be painful?
That hair that he has, I'm sure, was very painful.
But he whined about his COVID tests because they had to stick the swab too far
Wait,
up
he
his
whined
nose.
about that?
Yeah, he said it was an unpleasant test.
Oh.
Like the amount of
You gotta
nurses,
do it.
the amount of nurses and shit who like
He's human,
are
guys.
furious about that because it makes people not want to go get tested.
Yeah.
And like they're anxious about how painful it's going to be.
Please, like that's the least. Like he's telling people not to wear masks. That's like the like literally he's telling that to people. Like, I'm sorry, but there was reason to have concern way before he complained about his COVID test.
Are you surprised he didn't lean into like his experience with COVID more?
I think you want to get
Who,
off.
Trump?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Was there
missed the
opportunity?
beginning.
Well, I mean, he went through the whole line again that, he learned a few things while he was sick in the hospital. And, he I don't know, he didn't say he studied it out this time or anything like that, but, it was real learning, not that book learning. Actually, I have a question. I think I might have stepped out of the room for like 5 seconds total. Did I miss, did the court never come up tonight?
No.
Nope.
Is that odd? I mean, I know Biden, like
That's
you said,
weird.
got ahead of it this morning, but it's odd that Trump still didn't try and press him on that, and that it was not even asked by the moderator.
Yeah, I don't think that's. Yeah, I am very surprised that it wasn't asked by the moderator. I'm not super surprised that Trump didn't press him on it.
Oh, no?
I think Trump was going to take every single opportunity to talk about Hunter Biden and talk about corruption and payments from Russia and payments from China, and that is all he wanted to get out of this debate was talking about,
Yep.
corruption.
Scandal.
Yeah, it's why this was supposed to be a foreign policy debate, and like it changed a little bit because they skipped the last debate, and they were upset. And the reason being is if we're talking about foreign policy, he gets to talk about Russia and China, and he can lead all of those things into corruption.
Speaking
Yeah.
of the Hunter Biden laptop, I think Borat's already released. Curious what happens with Giuliani after that.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
It's that Saturday Night Live skit. Just nothing even matters anymore.
I mean, he was, and he's already been caught with hookers from the '90s, right? Like that's already his thing.
Yeah. Also, like whatever. I mean, my kind of thing is I don't give a shit about it at all. Like, it's such a distraction.
Clearly,
Taking up
And like
any-
there's some like Schadenfreude, I guess, of like, serves him right, and I'm glad that he gets to deal with another scandal, but like also like I want the focus to be on the shit show that is the Trump response to COVID, right? I don't want anything that distracts from how fucked up the country is right now. Like Biden should have kind of hammered on the fact that another 1,000 people died yesterday.
I thought he said that.
Like in every COVID response, it should have been like
Yeah,
1,000
yeah.
people died yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And when Trump was talking about how like you're going to let these businesses die, and it's like, yeah, to save people. Like, would you rather the businesses die or would you rather the people die?
Right.
Not that that's a good debate answer either. Like that's he
Yeah,
shouldn't say that.
I'm-
But I want him. Like that's the argument I want to be made, because like that's the argument that should be made, right? Is that people are more important than the economy in the short term.
Right, but there's a common ground. I don't think that would have been the right response because
Oh, me neither. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a gut instinct of like, this is the argument I want people to be having, not the argument that I think is good for the debate.
right.
Yeah, half the country sees this virus as more how is it affecting my money, and they're just not.
Well,
they
yeah,
have no idea of like this is actually a threat. Like
more than money, my lifestyle. Like people just want to live normal.
Yeah.
And granted, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I would love to live normal too, but I still have responsibilities, and I want to make sure that I don't infect other people or get infected myself. So I follow the best practices and the advice of the professionals. But there's a lot of people that want a normal life again and don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah,
And just I'm not sure if it's misinformation or just like intentional ignorance, but like a lot of people don't understand masking to begin with. Like a lot of people think that you wearing a mask protects you. So like, why should I have to wear a
Right.
mask if I'm okay with if I'm okay with getting sick? Like that should be my
Right.
choice. But they don't understand. Like, no, the mask protects other people. It actually doesn't protect you.
Well, I think that there's a lot of, they just don't give a shit about other people. You know, I kind of dealt with this with my family where like my mom was going to travel to South Carolina in late March to go like house hunting. And her logic was, well, I already have to leave every day because I work in a hospital, so I'm already exposed. And it's like, it's not about you, asshole. It's like about how many people you're going to expose if you happen
Right.
to have it.
And what
I
she's
think,
saying, like,
there's,
well, if they don't want to get exposed, they shouldn't be on the plane. Is that like the logic?
yeah, well, it's just this like, no, it's not even, it's not that many plies deep for them, right? It's a, well, I'm already exposed, and so what does it matter, right? It's not even considering other people like that. They aren't like justifying it in terms of how they're exposing other people. They're just not even considering that they're exposing other people.
Yeah, but when you bring that up, I mean, there has to be a response. Like, it's like, you can't just be like, well, I never thought about that. It's like, okay, well, now I'm telling you to think about it, right? Like, I feel like it's been enough time where everyone's thought about that. I don't think anyone still just is so
I mean,
focused on themselves.
her response was, well, I've already made the plans. I have to go. I was like, well, no, you don't. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, just like it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like
we're shutting down the discussion. There's nowhere else to go here.
Yeah, I've been presented with arguments that are contrary to my beliefs, and I don't want to think about them, so I'm not going to. I think that's how a lot of people are. What was that?
Did she end up going?
No, because basically everything shut down by late March.
It sounds kind of like my mother-in-law, who actually did go down to West Virginia and buy a house in the middle of the summer in the thick of everything. So,
well, the summer I almost get, right? Because for the most part, rates in a lot of places have dropped pretty significantly by the summer. Things were kind of going in the right direction. There was a lot more understanding around, wearing masks and doing things to prevent it, and like social distancing. In March, nobody knew what the fuck was going on.
well, I appreciate you giving her the benefit of the doubt, but she was also at a wedding in, I think, May, taking pictures without masks with a group of people. So.
All right, well then tell Colleen that her mom's an asshole. I don't know what's.
Oh no, she's well aware. We've had many a discussion with her. A lot of the
Oh, then we need to talk about your mom again.
Yeah,
She's posting on Facebook again.
Between Colleen and her mother have been.
This is good. This is good podcast content.
Is this talking about?
Well,
completely about my
So
mother-in-law?
we're live right now. We're on
Yeah.
Twitch.
The only person who's going to listen to this is Adam's mother-in-law.
It's going right to your mother-in-law.
Yeah, this podcast
I hope
is going to have
so.
one view.
Maybe she'll internalize this.
It's gonna be Brian Alosio.
That's true.
That is true. And Earl, maybe.
Maybe Earl.
Yeah, Earl's avoided this.
He listened to the last one though.
He did?
I believe so. I thought he was commenting on it.
He was commenting. He watched it.
I think his a lot of his like baby hangout area is where his desktop is, and so he can't like talk near his desktop.
Speaking of which, I need to wrap this up. McCarrick, do you have an ending you're looking for?
Does this debate, I'll ask each one of you yes, no, with a quick response. Does this debate fundamentally change who you think is going to win the election? David?
No. I'm not saying that it's a shoo-in for Biden, but this debate did not change shit.
Adam?
I think this debate was probably a wash, despite it being a good performance for Biden, mostly because, like Will said, and I think we've all said, the bar was low for Trump, so he looked good just by being a human being.
Infuriated me a little bit. Habers?
Mostly wash. I think it would probably help Trump a bit more. but it'll probably even out over the days. I don't know. I have concerns. I feel like the closer we get to the election day, the more anxious I'm getting, and I think that probably.
Yeah, don't get me
I
wrong.
think that's natural.
I'm super worried. I just don't think there's a lot of hearts and minds to be changed right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's like the occasional we're seeing all these polls that are all affirming what our world views are, and then like occasionally like there's that one poll on 538 I think 2 days ago that like had them within like 2 points of each other, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
It's that tracking poll that like IDP or something like that tracking poll. That's
like Business Insider, I think, or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not Business Insider, but it sounds like that.
Right.
Or like Investors Business Daily.
It was
like
right. It was some financial one. So I see that and I'm like, wait a minute. Can this be like the one that predicts it right? Just like 2016? Like, I don't want to be blindsided by, confirmation bias. Like I want to make sure that I understand things as they are.
All right, Will.
Yeah, I don't think this changes anything. I don't think that it means that Trump can't win. I think Trump doesn't win because of this debate, right? He still can win. And I'm like very reticent to make predictions because basically all my political predictions have been wrong. I mean, I'm wearing a fucking Elizabeth Warren t-shirt. So, take everything with a grain of salt.
Remember that sweet like month where she was the most popular in the primary? That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still sad because like she would have been the best president.
But she would have gotten crushed by Trump, I feel like.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, she destroyed Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Like she
I
eviscerated Bloomberg.
by destroyed, I just don't think she would have done as well with like, the moderates, which Biden is doing really well with.
Yeah. I think that's the kind of thing that gives me hope, right? Is that the Biden campaign knew exactly what they had to do.
Yep.
And they've done it, right? Like the entire time through the primaries, they knew this is about South Carolina, this is about Super Tuesday.
Yep.
Iowa doesn't matter, New Hampshire doesn't matter. And they executed on their plan, and he crushed the primaries.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah, and they've been executing on their plan this entire time, right? And they've run a really smart campaign. So that's what gives me hope, is like the people running that campaign are like know exactly what they have to do. And I don't think that was true with Clinton. But yeah, to answer your question, no, this debate doesn't change anything, but I still think that Trump can win, just not because of this debate. But I do think that the polls will tighten a little bit because Trump actually did have a pretty decent performance. And even though Biden had an incredibly sharp performance for Biden standards in debate, that low bar is hard to compensate for.
It's like you could see a human inside of Trump and therefore win, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had good answers and he had like kind of astute comments, occasionally. And
I'm with you guys. Fundamentally, I don't think it changes much. I just might get a few more annoying threads on any of my news feeds from annoying Trump supporters who are just absolutely loving that Trump didn't literally just like take a dump on the stage, like Trump victory. So yeah, all right. So we'll close it up, guys. This was fun. This is several people are typing, and let's do this again. I like this. We should do this more. Okay.
Back to you in the studio, Jim.
Yep, back to me and I'm gonna put the green screen behind me, and I'll have some more fun backgrounds and
Your
stuff.
3 lights and a green screen.
Yeah, I got the professional stuff. You guys are jealous.
That's
By the way,
podcast name.
Several people are typing is the name of the Slack blog.
Well, fuck.